In this world, there are more excuses than champions. Those of you of my generation and older will remember the Brundtland Report, the World Conservation Strategy, and Kissinger's promises to end world hunger and leprosy. All are still with us today, and while Ireland Inc. has prospered, the world is still a cruel place for the marginalised in our own society and a billion abroad. It is still the case the needy of this world feed the greedy of this world. Those of you younger than I are all too familiar with Geldof and Bono and Stern and Gore and McDonough and the UN planetary reports, and never before have the links between environmental problems and poverty been as well or widely understood. Yet there is still no politician of standing in either Dáil or Senad who understands these concepts or acts on them. My name is Brendan Price, and what follows is my journey to you to offer you my services in the Senad Éireann as an eco-auditor of the Senad and the Oireachtas. We have reached irreversible tipping points in climatic stability and resource sustainability on this planet. We cannot afford further false dawns, unfulfilled promises and procrastination. Waste is inevitably unsustainable economically and ecologically. You, the electorate, are already making lifestyle changes so your children may survive and prosper into this new world. But you cannot do it alone. Political leadership is also necessary, and to facilitate fair and equitable responses and allow fair and equitable corrections to practices and economies no longer sustainable. 1 billion obese and 800 million starving was a startling spin on facts I was presented with the other morning by my good wife. Physician, heal thyself, you might say, probably in response to the former. But in the case of the latter, we must positively discriminate for those excluded from education and employment on all sorts of nefarious grounds of economic, sex, religion, colour and political persuasion. Political leadership and a strong independent voice in the Oireachtas is needed to facilitate your wishes in this direction. I am offering you that, not more intellectual debate, feel-good slogans and sound bites and virtual solutions. Hunger is a reality, exclusion is real, environmental reactions and disasters correcting for unsustainable exploitation are real, economies correcting for unsustainable ecological practices are real, and 1 billion environmental refugees on our doorstep will very soon be real if we do not correct fairly and equitably, not just our personal lifestyles, but our lifestyles as nations and as a species. You should view this as an opportunity rather than a threat, and face the challenge for your children. Many years ago, I had to watch 2 young African elephants die slowly in Dublin Zoo. I was forced to realise there was a link between these suffering, emaciated, displaced animals in affluent Dublin and millions of displaced, starving people in Africa and other parts of the world. People thought I was mad then, but today one is only to look at the deeper and wider divides between these societies to see the situation is actually worse. Elephants worldwide are certainly worse off, though there are more of them in Ireland. Their habitats are under threat today, as much as they were then. Their numbers are depleted further. Water resources are scarcer, and millions more people are displaced, hungry and starving. Ireland has prospered, and new elephants have replaced those that went before. Overseas development aid has improved, but not enough by a long shot, and our people are better off, but more disengaged, despite knowledge from the problems of their environment and primary production. Just think cryptosporidia before you forget this point. Start joining the dots and allow me to represent you in Senad Éireann and the Oireachtas, and maybe you can sustain this planet for your children so they can share it with another generation. I'm a simple animal handler, just learning to join the dots, and will make the connections for you and with your help between primary production and pipe-end wealth and well-being, and endeavour to do so fairly. So give me your #1 vote and have another card to play. Those elephants sparked off the Dublin Zoo inquiry, the forerunner of all our inquiries, and though forgotten by many, heralded in an era of inquiries and soul-searching in Ireland, and a culture of transparency and accountability, and a fairer and more compassionate society will hopefully be the end result. I had to pursue my wildlife career elsewhere, and this brought me to campaigning and to the final ratification of the UN Convention on Trade in Endangered Species by Ireland, thus affording the victims of poaching worldwide one more ally and poachers one less gateway. Along with drugs and arms, the wildlife trade today is still the largest illegal trade in the world, leaving misery and destitution in its wake. Next, I brought together the nucleus of the now nationally known Irish Whale and Dolphin Group and secured the declaration of Ireland as a whale and dolphin sanctuary. Jobs, research, revenue all followed, as this wonderful group brought Ireland to the fore as a world-class venue for whale and dolphin watching, and it continues to grow from strength to strength. And closest to home, I suppose, living on the margins of Irish society before wildlife was ever really a priority at all, I lived with my family and friends surrounded by seals, and our lives forever graced by grey seals. This has resulted, through the efforts of many utterly under-resourced, after 20 years, in the construction now underway of Ireland's National Marine Conservation and Education Centre, once again bringing jobs, prosperity and new and sustainable livelihoods to many. And this influence grows and extends into ecotourism, sustainable fisheries, biodiversity, conservation, overseas support and sustainable communities. I invite you to vote number 1 for Brendan Price and join me in this journey together to find new and fair and suitable ways to share this earth. We do not pass this way again, neither you nor I will. This is my last run, and I'm there for you if you want an eco-auditor. Thank you for looking in.